Oh, well, thank you, everyone. It looks like it's 11:41, so we're ready to reconvene this fantastic workshop. It's already been really interesting in terms of, and it's a great segue to what our next panel will be discussing. So that's this session 2 is titled Concomitant Illness and Polypharmacy, Overcoming Key Barriers. And the full title should probably be Overcoming Key Barriers for Better Clinical Trial Inclusion to Give More Relevant Generalizable Findings. I'm Jonathan Watanabe, Associate Dean of Assessment and Quality at the University of California, Irvine School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. I'm also a geriatric pharmacist by training and also a scholar of the National Academy of Medicine Emerging Leaders in Health and Medicine program. In this session, we're hoping to build on those topics just described in the previous panel. I think we've learned in the pandemic the incredible importance of finding out what treatments are effective in seniors given their disproportionate risk. Amazingly, I was already in a meeting that looked at the National Health Services data in the UK and the Open Safely platform that found a 20-fold increased risk of death for those 80 years and above compared to a reference group of 50 to 59 years old. So it really highlighted that the terms older adults really represents a continuum across the life course that we're really hoping to shed light on over these next 2 days. And I think we've had a great start already. The goal of this session 2 panel is to discuss the particular challenges for developing treatments for older adults via clinical trials, given the routine presence of polypharmacy or being on multiple medications and multimorbidity or having several diseases or syndromes. We learned a little bit about the challenges those present. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the challenges and perhaps what we can do to improve inclusion of patients that have these. At the program of all-inclusive care for the elderly clinic that I worked at in San Diego, the average number of medications per PACE clinic participant was 14. That matches up fairly well with some of the CMS data on the average number of medications for patients discharged to skilled nursing facilities. So we know that this makes it much more of a challenge to integrate them in the trials, but we also know that that's the real world population. This is what older adults often face, is being on many medications and being on and having multiple chronic disease states. So we know that better inclusion of older adults will allow us to have findings that will be valid and relevant for the rapidly growing U.S. population. But how do we address the challenges of polypharmacy, multimorbidity, and the related pathophysiologic factors? And we're really fortunate to have an outstanding panel to discuss this. First, we'll have Dr. Heather Allor, Professor of Medicine and Biostatistics at Yale, to talk about inclusion-exclusion criteria and trial design. Next, it'll be Dr. Stuart Lichtman, medical oncologist at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, talking about organ function criteria expansion in trials. Then to hear about the FDA experience, we'll have Dr. Rajeswari Sridhara, biostatistician, contractor, and the former director of one of the divisions of biometrics at CDER and the FDA. And finally, to provide a discussion on the ethics perspective, Dr. Jason Karlowicz, Professor of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine. Their full bios are in the briefing book that's been sent. Each speaker will have about 10 minutes to present, and I'll give each a reminder at 8. That should give us about 30 minutes for Q&A before our break at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And as was mentioned, we have I think you can use the Q&A and chat features and to send messages that we will attempt to address in the Q&A. And with that, I will turn it over, hopefully, to Dr. Heather Allor, who focuses on issues related to the design and analysis of trials and studies of multifactorial geriatric health conditions, particularly among persons with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. Several of her projects have focused on health disparities of older adults, and she's developed a subdiscipline of biostatistics that focuses on training and methodological development in geriatrics called gerontological biostatistics. And with that, I'll turn that over to Dr. Allor. Thank you.